So there's a flow zone in acting. There's a flow zone of you disappear. You, the actor, you're gone, and all of a sudden this character is making decisions for you.
Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon, and I end up alone. I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect.
Welcome to episode 12 of Legends. We're live from Chateau Trap. The new and improved Trap Studios. Check out this mural, man. It's amazing. And another thing that's amazing is my guest. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you.
Sebastian R. Teller.
Yes.
Any relation to Miles Teller?
Not at all. It's actually that's so funny that you mentioned that right away. It's not my real name. R. Teller is not my real name. I have a really, really French name. I'm French.
Yeah.
And in my early career, they kept asking, do you have a French accent? Because of the name. Mm-hmm. And it was so problematic that at some point I was like, I'll have a fake name. A stage name. Actors do that. Mm-hmm. So I came up with R. Teller. And then I heard about Miles Teller being a person like in the movie in the shoot. I was like, you know what? It's not going to be a problem. But it's not my real name.
What is your real name?
Oh gosh. It's really, really French. Okay. It's Sebastien Taillefer Rochon.
Amazing.
So like really, really French. But R. Teller is for like R for the second last name. Yeah. And Teller is like an English version of the first last name.
What? Oh, okay. There you go. Okay,
I just like remixed it a little.
That's really
and
cool.
It works. And the nerdiest part of me likes it because Sebastien R. Teller is S.R. Teller, storyteller, and I'm an actor, and that's my name now.
That's amazing. And I was watching your demo reel, and one of the demo reels was all French. So I'm like, does he speak English?
No, yeah, exactly. So I'm from Montreal, and over there it's common to speak both. Also have a demo in both. Yeah. I'm French. Like my first language actually is French. Mm-hmm. So in the French industry, they're kind of bad at looking past if you speak English in your videos. So as a demo reel, for demo reel purposes, I have a French one and an English one, so that the French world can see French acting and the English world can see English acting.
Wonderful. So you're an actor, an influencer, digital artist, screenwriter, and rock climbing instructor. You've done it all.
I've done too many things, and I'm not done. But yes, I've been an actor I'm hitting 10 years this year. I worked in rock climbing for 8 years, and then I quit to move on to other things. But I did rock climbing. I did it all from birthdays to being the manager of a rock climbing gym. What else do we? Well, I don't know. I've been an actor for 10 years. Yeah. I did rock climbing for 8, and then I stopped. I worked in a resort company for a while, so I was
out in Mexico, right?
And Mexico and the Bahamas. It was a really good time. I screenwrite for my own stuff and anything in general, content creation, you name it, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok.
Now, do actors in 2022 need to diversify their talents, not only to make ends meet, but also to have more of an online presence like you do?
Mm-hmm. Funny enough, I had none of that before COVID. COVID was I had just moved here. I moved to Vancouver February 2020, and in March 2020 everything crashed. And so within 1 month of being here, I went from being hopeful about acting in this place to not knowing a single thing and just being stuck at home. And that's when I turned to TikTok, and I just started making a video a day for fun. I was like, I'm gonna create, I'm gonna act, I'm gonna do something, and through doing that, I kind of blew up and built a following. So it's not that it's required, but it's definitely helped. It was definitely a good savior. And so it's like, your question was, in 2022, is that a good thing? I think it came from the past 2 years of the world not existing, because acting's been a challenge. Like, there's been less of business in general with it.
And a lot more restrictions. Yeah.
It's been but social media was a really good savior in that time.
And what was your key to success behind TikTok?
So I blew up originally. This is my there's shameful beginnings, I think you could call it. I started blowing up or getting some traction playing a character that I called Virtual Boyfriend. So on TikTok, a big thing is these POV acting things, and as an actor, I was like, I'll act every day. So I'll just act with my camera. And it was early COVID, early quarantine, so I was like, first video I made that really got traction was POV, you and I are quarantined together. And I was playing as if the camera was my girlfriend.
Right.
And I was doing all these scenes. And it just ended up really gaining traction. And then I found out that a lot of people were lonely because quarantining, because early COVID. So I kind of banked on that for a long time, just making content for everyone that kind of felt alone. And after that, I managed to transition more into mental health territory, which was the same with the virtual boyfriend character because it was about portraying a good relationship.
Right.
And so I was happy that I managed to let go of that character, but still keep like what are good things for your life, for your health, for these things in general.
Yeah. So you mentioned you're an advocate for mental health. It was in 2018 that you began to develop a perception for the human mind. What was happening in your life that you moved in that direction? And I'm talking about the video specifically where you said, if you died tomorrow, would you be okay?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Good research.
15 years of experience. I know what I'm doing.
That's good.
Austin's like, we're cutting this out.
I've been into the whole mental health thing for a long time. Before I chose to be an actor, I was making my way through school to go into psychology and become a therapist.
Right.
But one day I decided I didn't want to make a living out of people's misery. It's not what a therapist is, but it felt like people needed to be sad for me to have a job.
Right.
And I didn't like that connection, so I threw that all away. I went into acting. So technically, like, mental health has always been still something big for me. And in 2018 is when I bought my first camera, and I was like, let's make videos talking about the things. And yes, the idea of thinking about death to me is a good thing. Like, it's a good thing in making sure you live today, making sure you do good things for yourself today, because I could die tomorrow, I could die tonight, but I might as well make sure today's good,
And if you sorry, you were gonna
no I wasn't gonna say
if you died tomorrow, would you be okay with it?
Yes, I would. I think okay. Lately maybe not. I had a tough end of 2021,
right?
So it would have been a little more regretful, but I think ultimately, yeah, if I were to die tomorrow, I'd still be like, I'm doing everything I'm doing, which is insane to me. I was thinking about it last night because, like, I'm not big in any way. I'm not massive in any way. I'm not doing insanely cool things, but I get to stream on Twitch, which years ago I wanted to do, and I thought I'll never do that. And I get to do it today. Years ago, I thought I'd love to make videos and for people to watch it. I'll never do that. I'm doing that today. Like, so many things that years ago my pessimistic self would have said, like, there's no way the internet likes your stuff or people like hearing your voice. And I get to do it today. So if I die tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, I did it. I reached my goals in that realm.
Working with a lot of entrepreneurial clients, I'm hearing a lot of things in the past couple of weeks of imposter syndrome. I guess that was the case with you at the time.
I dealt with it, for a long time. For anything you do, I think, like, anytime you start a new hobby, there's going to be a new imposter syndrome part of that in your mastery of it. I think it's part of the mastery journey. You reach a certain time where imposter syndrome hit. I had it with acting years and years ago, which was really good in 2018 or 2019 was the first time I got hired and did not feel it. I got hired and I showed up on set and I was like, yeah, I know what I'm here to do.
Right.
And that was amazing. And I get it with social media now. I get it with all those things constantly. Like, there's always a wave of, what am I doing? Like, am I like everybody else doing it? Am I really legit, or am I just some guy trying to fake it? So, still hits from time to time, definitely. But I try to not think about it and just do it.
Okay, so you came here in 2020.
Yeah.
Why?
So before COVID. 2019 was a really good year for acting in movies for me.
Right.
I got to work a lot on certain things back in Montreal. And so I made my living through acting for the first year. Like, there's always acting and side hustle. But for the first year, 2019 was like all my income, or the highest part of my income, was acting. And so I was like, this is good. This is a good step.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's relocate, because I hate winter. And Montreal has very horrible winters. So I thought, let's move. And it was between Toronto or Vancouver. And the deciding factor was literally winter, because Toronto and Vancouver are really good movie industry-wise. But here, you get snow like 1 week out of the year, except this year.
Yeah.
We got multiple weeks. But like every other year, it's like 1 week out of the year you'll get snow. So I was like, I'll go to Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I moved here with the money I had and actually moved here for 3 months. I had at least for only 3 months. I had money for only 3 months. That was the take. It was more of a like throw everything out and see what sticks. I had just enough money to survive 3 months before the plane. So I hopped on the plane. I found a place through Craigslist and everything. And I had told the guy, like my roommate at the time, I said, I'm moving for 3 months. If I get to stay, I get to stay. If I don't, I don't.
Right.
And my deposit on the place was going to be my plane ticket back. Like worst comes to worst, I spend all my money. I make no money. 3 months later, I would have gotten my deposit back. It would have bought my plane ticket and I would have been back to Montreal. But COVID happened and I ended up being able to stay, weirdly, which was like reverse of what you would think.
And did that risk of not knowing what was going to happen and knowing you only had three months to do something drive you to work harder?
So I showed up with a really good drive almost, but it was now in hindsight, I think it was even a little too cocky instead of confident.
Right.
In that I was like, I'll show up and I'll just get stuff.
Yeah.
I'll get stuff done. I'm gonna hustle and which is funny because I got to slow down and calm down with COVID and be like, this was a really wrong approach to it.
Yeah.
But I was like motivated. I was like, I'm here. I already had an agent. I was checking out every class I possibly could about acting. I was like, big steps here and there. But then it kind of worked out that nothing happened. Like it was reality, making sure I was in the right place instead.
When did the X-Men Avengers happen?
The X-Men Apocalypse?
The X-Men Apocalypse. Oh, geez.
That was in I think it was 2015, 2016. I actually worked on that movie in three different ways. So before the movie shot in Montreal, the summer before, one of my teachers from college was a prop master. And so he's a prop builder, and he would hire his students during the summer to build props for movie sets. And it just so happened that the summer before the movie started shooting, he was like, hey, would you like to be hired by me? I'll hire you. We're going to build all the weapons for the stunt people for X-Men Apocalypse. So for my summer, I worked with him. We built the like any sword and everything, because you make them out of rubbery material so that stunt people can actually hit each other with it. So for the whole summer we did that. Then the shoot came to town and I did background work on the movie for a week, still looking for every opportunity. And then they finished the shooting and then they came back for the reshoots, which is very typical. And for the reshoots, I auditioned. It was an improv scene. And in the improv scene, there was just like, blah, 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 you do this, you do that, you do this. Okay, sweet. I go, I do it, walk away. And I kind of like to forget about auditions the second I walk out. Walk away, and a month and a half later, I get a text from my agent being like, hey, you booked X-Men. And I was like, what? Did it happen? And up until the day I was on set, there was no script, nothing. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was doing the improv that we did in the audition or what it was. And we got up on set. I got on set. I was in costume before I knew my scene. And then because it was a reshoot, what was really cool is they had the special effects already done. Yeah. And just blank spots for where our scene, like my scene, was going to be. So they were like, this is everything that's happening, and this is your scene. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Simple. Let's do it. That was the biggest Imposter Syndrome. Because you get hired for X-Men Apocalypse, like a big movie, and I don't know what I'm doing until I'm on there. So the whole time I'm freaking out. Yeah. Like, I'm going to show up and they won't know why they hired me. They'll regret it. They'll blah, blah, blah. All those things that you can think. So I'm glad I don't think that anymore. But it happened in 2015, 2016. One of those.
Did you get to meet Hugh Jackman or not?
He wasn't in that one. He in X-Men Apocalypse, he was there for one scene. Yeah. And they shot it here in Vancouver because he was shooting Logan at the same time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I know too much about that production. But I got to meet the whole rest of the cast. They probably don't remember me, but I got to meet like Jennifer Lawrence. Right. Everyone.
What did you learn from them?
It was a challenging set because, once again, like now we're in the future. We know the things that have been going on behind the scenes with Bryan Singer, who was the director of that movie. So there was a lot of tension, a lot of arguments happening. I'm not going to say more to not get in trouble. But there was a lot of issues happening during the shooting, and years later, now that things have come to light, we can understand why.
Right. Yeah.
So it was still good. I think that was the learning, if anything. I was judging everyone. Why are we all fighting? Why is it so tense?
Yeah.
And then it was like, that was the lesson. It was like, don't judge people.
Right.
There's a reason. And there was a reason, which was a lot of drama.
When the drama was happening, did it put you off acting?
Not for me, but it put me off those people, sadly. Like, at first I was like, oh man, like I was excited to work with you. Like, I thought there was going to be something. And then I was like, it was really tense. It was an environment just for, I don't want to say it was bad the whole time, but it was still a lovely time.
Right.
I got to shoot mostly in B unit. So oftentimes they'll have A unit, B unit, A unit being like all the main cast doing the big scenes. B unit is like a second director and a crew that's more like chilled out. Yeah. So we had music going between scenes and everything, like between takes we had a DJ. Yeah. Someone was paid to DJ for between scenes. He was just DJ.
Meanwhile,
so it was great. You hear cut, meanwhile the others, oh my gosh. So it was still a really good experience, but it definitely like was a lesson in don't judge the actor for what you see on set, because it's a high pressure environment. Yeah. For higher budgets too, for these big budget movies, there's definitely a lot of that.
Did you always want to be an actor?
So I was making my way to be a therapist for a long time. Then acting showed up. But since I was a kid, you know when you ask a kid the question, what did you want to be when you were a kid? Yeah. What do you want to be when you grow up? My answer when I was a kid was always something in the public eye. Because the message was always like, I'll be an actor, a singer, a comedian, a clown, a magician, whatever it was. I wanted to be someone that performed. And the reason for it was I wanted to have a voice, and I wanted people to listen, and I wanted to have the chance to help. And ironically, like, I've reached that goal with social media in a way I didn't see coming, but I now have a voice and people listen and I get to help. But acting just naturally happened. And in my switch from therapy direction, I hit a very low, because for years, all of my schooling, I was like, psychology, this is the path, this is the direction. And then a few weeks before college, I was like, that's not what I want to do. What do? I have a few weeks to apply. Like, all my grades have always been in the goals of reaching this. And a family friend at the time saw me losing my mind at home and was like, just call my agent, see if you can't do background on something, just to experience something new. Right. And that usually opens up like your mind. We feel stuck a lot. So as soon as you do something you've never done, your brain's like, oh, there's a world out there. And so I called the agent. The agent got me to do some high school show, background, like just a student in the background. And the second I walked on set, shivers, like my whole body is just, every hair lifted up. It was insane. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be on set. And to this day, being on set is still my favorite thing ever. It's just the best environment.
So you have a voice. People want to hear you. What's your message?
It's that we can do it. Everything works out in the end. That's my biggest thing is you'll be fine. Everything works out. It's okay to not be okay. And we don't have to give in to all the dark things that your mind can do.
So you've got this therapist background, this psychology background, obviously great acting and theatre background. Who are your mentors?
I don't have a mentor. I feel weird. You know when they say like who's your idol or who's your mentor or who do you look up to? I don't have anyone that I like actively go, oh, I like them. Yeah. Or like that I go like, whoa, like this is everything. It's always been, if anything, the lesson I learned early, even more with acting, was if you try to copy anyone's path, it won't work for you. Right. It's one of those careers where, and I think it works for most careers. I don't think you could copy everything that Warren Buffett has done and reach where he did. You know? And so with acting, it was the same. So it kind of pushed you away from having a mentor, from looking at an actor and being like, I'll do everything you'll do, because instantly you know that's not going to work. Right. So it's really, since the beginning, it's been, if you look at someone, don't even try to copy their path, because that's not the one for you. Just like if anyone tried to copy my path, they wouldn't get to where I am. And I'm not far, but they wouldn't, because we're all different human beings and we're all going on different journeys.
And what's unique about you is you have a plethora of special skills, extreme skills. Is stunt acting something you're looking to navigate it?
I did in the past, like I have originally I did a stunt training really quick, but the thing about stunt is like this is one of those worlds that's hard to get in. You have to know the right people, you have to constantly be training, and you have to train at your own cost.
Right.
You have to, you know, like acting, like you can find an acting studio, train there, like yes, it's at your own cost, but stunt, it's very much a shut world until you have a certain degree of experience, and then you can maybe get in if you know the right person.
Yeah.
So as much as I've thought about it, and it's cool and it's fun, and I like all the crazy stuff. I did rock climbing. I can do plenty. I boxed, so I can do plenty of those things. It's still such a tough world to get in.
Yeah. That
it's more like, you know, out of all the things, not really the one. But I'd love to do my own.
So I mean, we talked about mentors, but do you have any acting influences at all?
Like, I think there's still actors that I look at, and I'm like, you're doing something really cool. Andrew Garfield lately has been my fascination. This past like month, I'm just looking at his interviews and trying to see. I just like him as a person.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. Like of an actor, it's not just who they are when they're performing. I like the contrast. Who are you off screen? Who are you? You know, what's your way to work through it? So Andrew Garfield right now, Bradley Cooper for a long time, I liked him. I still do. I haven't been up to date with anything. So.
If you cut your hair, you would look like Bradley Cooper. So anyone never told you that?
I never got that. The hair in the first place is like, it's one of those things that helps with because I look like every other white guy if I cut my hair. That's the take. See, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Austin's like, damn it.
Short hair white guy, you're just like every other white guy. I let my hair grow long, and all of a sudden, I could go for roles I never did. So,
and it looks awesome as well.
I'm lucky. Like I like it. Yeah. I like it better along either way. But it's one of those funny things. You'd be like, because I'm thinking about cutting it all off at some point, just buzz cut. But then I'll look like every other white guy for a while. And that's not great.
Embrace your hair, otherwise you end up like me, wishing you had one.
Yeah.
So you touched on sort of how each actor and each person is unique. What would be your message to the next generation of actors?
I think that's what I'd want them to know. Like acting is. So much of it is hard to say, but because my favorite part of acting is disappearing. There's a certain. It's like, have you ever heard of the flow zone when you're working on anything?
Yes, yeah.
So there's a flow zone in acting. There's a flow zone of you disappear. You, the actor, you're gone, and all of a sudden this character is making decisions for you, and your hand's moving when you don't want it to, but it's doing its thing, and it's grabbing whatever. And the words come out, and there's many, like, you're lucky whenever that happens. It's one of those magical moments in acting that I love, but it's hard to explain to anyone.
It happened to me twice I went to Vancouver Film School, so I'm doing a theatre scene, and I'm supposed to pick up my shoes and storm out the door. Well, you know, when you've got a million things on your mind, when you're going into a scene, and you know, I'm not versed in theatre acting. A lot of your peers are watching you, your friends are watching you. So I knew, okay, I got to pick up these shoes and get the hell out of this room. Well, I'd left my shoes in the audience, so I have to do the scene where I have to put my shoes on, and I think I just improvised and I was with a girl, I think I put on her shoes or something, or did something silly, but the audience were like, dude, we loved it because it was real, and you were looking around going, where the fuck are my shoes? So there's, the best thing about acting is when you don't know. Yeah. Like, when you don't know what's happening, that's the most truthful moments, because if you... The problem, and that's what I would try to get across to the younger or the next generation of actors, is don't plan it. I'm not one of which it depends on what works for you. Every actor's different. Right. But I'm one of the actors where I need to not plan my scene. I'll rehearse, I'll know where things can go, and I'll know it can go beyond. But if someone's asking me to pick up my mug exactly after saying word,
amen to that.
It's I can't. I just can't. Because it's too controlled. What will happen is I'll pick up the mug when the character feels like it. Yeah. And I can't know that. And if I do know that, it'll be the least natural looking mug grab ever.
And do you have enough leverage with directors that you can say, hey, listen, I'll do it on my own time?
So the thing about it is that's when you know a good director from a... I don't want to say good or bad because they have many, many tasks. Mm-hmm. But you'll know which directors you click with and which ones you don't. Also, you'll know which directors trust you. Mm-hmm. A really great director that trusts his actors will rarely say anything on set. Because once you're on set, you trust your actor will do the work. Right. You trust they'll show up and do this. Sure, you can ask for it for like a pickup, right? If it's a zoom of this shot here, like, yes, we can do that. Mm-hmm. But rarely a good director that trusts you will be like, hey, like, blah, 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 change this, change that, change that. When they start asking all those things, oftentimes it's because they don't trust you. Mm-hmm. And you can tell because they'll usually ask before you've even done it. So there's directors out there, and I'm not putting anyone on on like a bad spotlight here, but like some directors, I've had some not great experiences, and there's been experiences where the director, before we even do a rehearsal, will be like, okay, so this is the scene, you're gonna sit here, you're gonna say all your lines, and they're pretty much doing the scene, and you're like, so you don't trust me as an actor, is what we're saying here. Mm-hmm. But there's other directors where one of my favorite experiences was actually working on a Taiwanese movie. And it's out this year. 2021 it came out. But we shot in 2019. It was part of my good 2019. Mm-hmm. And this director was at my fitting. I wasn't a big role in the movie whatsoever. I walk in my fitting, there's a bunch of people, I do my whole fitting, trying on costumes, trying on hair stuff. And at the end of the fitting, I'm like, why are there so many people here? And then one person comes to me and introduces himself, and he's like, hey, I'm Gavin, I'm the director. I'm like, you've been here this whole time, what? And he was like, could we just sit down and talk about it? Like, do you want to sit and talk? And this is heaven as an actor. You're like, oh yeah, okay, sure, yeah, let's sit down. So we sit down, we start talking, and he's like, I want you to think this is your movie. Whatever you want to do it. If you want to try anything the next take, you say it, we do it. And it was like the most freeing, trusting thing. Wow. Because he was just like, have fun. I just want you to have so much fun with this. And because it was Taiwanese, our script was a direct translation, so not very accurate in English words. Yeah. Like, it was like, okay, it doesn't make sense. So he was like, I know it doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. Make it work. And on set, he barely ever told anything to me. I had a driving scene, and his only note of that whole shooting day was just go faster when you leave. And I was just like, oh, okay. The whole day was just action cut, and we kept doing different things and playing with it. So I think that's when like those directors are the best fun ones to work with, when they just let you go, they trust. If you're not going in the right direction, of course they can adjust. Mm-hmm. But when you are, they know that the better thing to do is not say anything. Because sometimes if they say anything, you could get in your head and stop being there.
So was that the exact moment where you felt liberated and confident that you could improvise?
That exactly was the one. That audition for this movie was one of those auditions where I walked in knowing what they wanted and knowing what I had to bring in. So I was like, this is what they're most likely looking for, and this is my version of this. Mm-hmm. And because I think that's a big part of auditioning too in general. Like, you have the thought, oh, I want to give them what they want, but the truth is, like, they don't always know, and they don't know what you can bring as that. Right. So walking in that audition, I was like, this is my version of this. If I think that's what they want. I'm pretty sure I have an inkling this is what they're looking for. So I can do it this way, and I did it, and I walked out, and I was like, pretty sure I did exactly what I needed. And then I booked it, and on set, it was like one of the best experiences. I did not doubt anything at any moment. It was just like awesome.
And for promotional purposes, what was the name of that movie?
It's called A Trip with Your Wife, and I haven't seen it because it's only in Taiwan. It's not anywhere. It's not on streaming things. I've been trying because I love the movie so much, like shooting it. Yeah. So I've been trying to see it, but A Trip with Your Wife is what I know it's called. And I think it has decent reviews over there.
And they obviously they dub it, so it's in.
Not even no, because because the whole movie is the idea of these characters taking a trip to Quebec in Canada. So the whole part in Quebec, there's French parts, there's English parts, and then they still have like the cast speaking. Yeah. It was Mandarin, so they still have the cast speaking Mandarin, and it was no translating, just subtitles and everything. it was a really cool experience.
Wow. We spoke about this earlier, but excuse me. What are your aspirations and the vision you see for yourself as an actor and as a person?
I just want to work. I love it too much. I just want to get to act. And a big part of it for me is like not worrying. Like as long as I'm comfortable and I get to have fun, I get to do my thing. I know that triggers some people, but I do it for fun. Like I love what I do. I love acting, and so I just want to give my best and live life. And I want to make every day worth it, so that if I die tomorrow, I'm happy. We're back to. But it's literally that. So honestly, as long as I get to act and do cool stories and challenge myself constantly, that's my goal. And as a person, I think it's still the same. I think. I don't know. I'm kind of just going with the flow. I don't have an idea for where I want to be. I'm just like today.
Do you feel like you're in a constant flow state?
As in like the flow zone, or just like more movement, or
just movement through your life and your work. Just from one endeavor to the next.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of slow moments because of COVID. I think it was one of those, but it's a reality check in itself. I'm not looking at it as like, oh, it ruined everything. It's like, no, like it was a really good lesson, and take the time, like slow down. It's not always moving. It doesn't always have to move. It is okay to just sit today, read, or do nothing. Sit and watch people. So I don't feel like it's a constant moving. Jesus, I can't talk anymore. I don't feel like it's a constant moving forward. Like I'm not constantly flowing towards this career. But I think that's the best part of it, because I'm a like overachiever, overworker. And so if I'm not forced to slow down, I'll never.
Right.
And so it's been a really good thing to learn to slow down, to learn to like accept that I don't have to be there just yet.
And is there that pressure though, living in like we talked about earlier, in such an expensive city to live in?
It's financial pressure is which is what it is at the end of the day. It is financial pressure. I grew up poor, which doesn't help, because you're constantly thinking, where's my next meal, where's my like I kind of grew up not like the poorest of poor, but I grew up knowing about money, which most kids might not have to. And I knew about being careful, and I moved out when I was 17 on my own, and since then it's been being in charge of rent and all of that. In the past 2 years I was good. I'm now back to like looking at my money and being like, okay, where am I getting the next paycheck? Like where do I have to put things here and there? So right now I'm starting to be afraid for this city a little, but it's not, I'm still like doing everything, and sadly it's more like forcing me to look at other options, like distracting options, which is the perfect life as a creative, is if I can only do the creative side of things, my life is good. But sadly, you gotta look at real jobs and here and there.
I understand. Whenever I've tried to do something in the city and focused on one thing, I've had to go and take on a second job, doing something completely opposite that messes up your schedule.
Exactly. And then you have less time, and it's like this cycle.
And you can't get into that mindset, of like, I've got to be focused on a scene, for example, or writing an article. Stuff.
But out of all the cities, it's definitely crazy how expensive it is here. But I like it. So for Canada, I don't want to go back to Montreal, and I don't see anywhere else I would be for Canada.
What kind of gigs have you gotten through like TikTok or social media, whether it be promotional or for acting?
I have not gotten anything except TikTok
or connections even.
And so I've gotten definitely connections. I haven't gotten gigs officially. TikTok managed to get me a better agent out here, so that was fun, because I had an agent when I moved here. I had reached out to like an older agency I was with back in Montreal that have a branch here, so I was like, blah, 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 but I wasn't that happy. And then when I started getting numbers on TikTok, when I would reach out to agents around the city, like the higher tier agents, every email after every 3 months, like I would email them again and be like, hey, my name's Sebastien, I'm in this town, blah, 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 blah. But I would add.
Even while you were with an agent, you would do that?
No, like I officially told the first agency that I didn't want to be with them, and that's when I started. Because it was COVID anyway, I wasn't going to book. So I knew I could let go of one and be on the lookout for the other one, because there was no gig either way. So I didn't have to play with fire by keeping one and looking at others. But yeah, I would drop the number of followers every new email. And because like the first time I emailed them, it was like, hey, I have 30,000 followers. And then the second email was like, hey, I have 150,000 followers. And then the third one, which is finally when it worked, I was like at 300,000. And they were like, okay, yeah. Like it wasn't the deciding factor. They were like, we've seen your name this whole time. We've seen your emails and we were interested, but now we're good. Like we can take you on. And I've been very happy with them.
And now you're at almost 700,000 followers.
Yes, I am. I was at 700,000, and sadly, that number doesn't always go up. It went down a little bit, but that's okay. That's social media. For
Something
you.
I don't know if you want to include in this or not, but I got hired to a PR firm to be the writer, and I got 11,000 likes. And I think it was the most likes they'd had, and I was like so excited. And I looked at it the other day, and it's gone down to 9, and I'm like, ah, damn it!
Oh, like I did this. I worked for this. Come on. Yeah, sadly, my number's going down right now, but I've been social media wise, like TikTok is not great for supporting creators, even less for Canadian creators. Right. We don't make money, but also just the creator fund in general. Like there's currently a discussion being had about it because it's not good. The way it's formatted right now, it's the better TikTok does as a platform, the less the creators are actually supported financially.
Right.
So it's not really working out. But personally, I chose to move to YouTube and commit to YouTube the same way I was committed to TikTok for 2 years. So that's why my number is going down on TikTok, because I'm committed somewhere else, and people over time are like, oh, he's not posting here, so I might as well.
Do you following on from what Austin was saying, do you make money from like product placement or?
Yeah, so I've been reached out a fair amount. The thing about when you're someone on social media is anyone reaches out without, like, as soon as they see a certain number with your name, they're like, all right, reach out. But too many things. I'm all about mental health, good habits, healthy habits. So when companies reach out to me with just products for things that have nothing to do with me, I'm like, I will just ignore this. So sadly, like every brand that has reached out except for one brand was not good enough for my judgment of it. And then the one brand that was, it just went like it just kind of missed. It was a miss. But we were both interested. Like they were interested in me, and I was like, I actually bought your product myself. Right. So I'm down. Like this is okay. But then it never happened. So
you binned that product too.
It's like, no, sadly I've that's the funny way of the social media world is crazy how you make money, how you make income. And I've been lucky to have made my income from support, mainly from support from people from a community that enjoys supporting me financially for streams or just for spicy websites. Cause I went there too, I still do some of that.
Do you want to talk about that or not?
I mean, I don't mind. It's just that's rare that people.
It's rare for a guy to do it.
It's rare for a guy to do it, and in doing it, I've been thinking about it for a long time. Yeah. Anyone with a lot of followers is like, hey, should I have OnlyFans and think about it, and do it? Yeah. Would that work? And for a long time, I was like, I don't want to just do hardcore. Like that's not my thing, and I'm an actor. Yeah. I can't just ruin my whole career from posting a video myself on the internet. But after like some time, I discovered, because a big part of my content is my voice. Yeah. And so after some time, I was like, wait, like just dirty talking audios are great. Reading erotic literature works great. And I'm an actor, so I get to act in those readings. Like it's a performance more than anything. And I do my own photography, so I've been doing these like artistic, non-full nude. So it's like full nude, but never showing. So it's been good to play the line of what's okay, what's not okay, and every time I post, is this the one that ruins my acting career or not? If it goes public, it's always this.
It's really cool that you talked about reading some like erotica. I love that idea. Do you have people that star in it with you? Or
no, yeah, I'm the only character, the only person reading for every character. I haven't. it's new. I'm new to that. And I've like this week I found out there's a website that does the same thing, and I was like, oh, now I gotta look into them and see if there's a connection somewhere. But it was a world I wasn't, even erotic literature in general, I never read it.
Right.
But when I was like, oh, I could use my voice, it was like a light bulb moment, because I never wanted to do the videos. But when I was like, voice, oh my gosh, and then I started looking at erotic literature. So I'm so new to this whole world. And it's funny too, because erotic literature, first of all, for men is very rare.
Yeah.
Also, the writing is different. It's oftentimes in the female gaze and everything. But even in myself recording it, there's scripts, like there's certain stories where I've read it and I was like, I love this. I'm recording it. This is sick. I record it, I post it, and maybe people would be like, oh, I'm not really into that, because you're playing into desires and pleasures that post something that works for your whole audience. But in terms of the sexual pleasures, it's very different. We all have different desires. Yeah. So it's been a learning curve to be like, oh, I wonder if this one's gonna work for them. Because sometimes I'm like, this one's getting me going. I'm reading and I'm into this, but then I post it and they're like,
we'll be back for part 2.
Anyway, it's been fun. Yeah. So overall, I still love doing all of it.
Wow. My friend, it's been an absolute pleasure just listening to you and having a wonderful conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, honestly, I wish you the best, and you know, and you've given me an idea for this erotica, because I've always wanted to do voice acting out of all of the avenues.
A microphone is all you need.
Yeah.
You just do it. And there's plenty of platforms for it.
I didn't know. Good script.
Yeah, definitely. Finding the story is the challenge. But yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. It's a pleasure. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to Sebastien. Look out for him. He's doing a lot of big things this year. And once again, thanks to Austin and his new studio, which is Trap Studios, and this amazing mural. Austin, our next guests are the 2 ladies that painted this. Can you just tell us a little bit more about them, please?
They're professional mirror artists, and they are known all around Vancouver, and they can make anything customizable for you. It's unreal.
Wonderful. So we look forward to that in the coming weeks. And thanks, guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
Nice.
Hollywood perfect. Ain't got no place to call my